Oh, very good evening to all of you. Thank you all for logging in on time. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all today for a wonderful session on combating COVID the Indic way. So for today's session, we have with us Mr. Ramraj and J. Krishnan. So without further ado, I would love to introduce the speaker. Mr. R. Ramraj is a senior advisor to Elevate Equity. He holds a BTech in chemical engineering from University of Madras and an MBA from the IIM Kolkata. He's a serial entrepreneur who has been involved in ventures in IT, cellular, and internet. His last venture was Sifi, where he was a co-founder and CEO. Sifi was the first Indian internet company to list on NASDAQ national market in the US. He's an investor with the Chennai Angels, a prominent angel investment firm in Chennai, and a charter member in TiE Chennai. He was the past president and is a mentor to many budding entrepreneurs. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. J. Krishnan, CEO and MD of Unimity Solutions. J. Krishnan is an alumnus of IIT Madras and IIM Kolkata. JK started his own software development company called NetLink Technologies in 1992. He successfully exited this venture when it was acquired by Deccan Chronicles. He acted as the CEO of Deccan Charges for the 2008 season and was part of the team management in 2009 season. JK is the past president of IIM Kolkata Alumni Chennai chapter and is a charter member and former vice president of TiE Chennai. So now I request Mr. JK and Ramraj to take the session forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh, for those gracious words of introduction. Good evening to all of you. It's wonderful to reconnect. There are some familiar faces and names in the audience. Wonderful to reconnect after a gap of nearly 2 months. And Ram and I have been discussing especially the emerging scenario and the tough situations that all of us are undergoing in the last 45 plus days. And we said the essence of what we have been talking over the last 3 years in many different series in the Indic way is most relevant at this time. So we decided that we are going to bring the essence of all these sessions we have done over the last 3 years into this specific session, a very special session which we have titled Combating COVID the Indic Way. And the session has approaches, answers, and ways to gather our strength, not only to combat the situation, but also to progress beyond. Ram, any intro remarks?
As JK said, many of you have attended some of our earlier sessions, and for some of you, this may be new. So I thought a little bit about what we mean by Indic. This is a self-development program. This is not for a team building or anything of that sort. This is about being a leader, self-improvement, whether at home or at work. How can we maximize our own potential? How can we be dynamic and happy? Can we be action-oriented? What is it that we can have a mental shift so that we are ready for life? This has been, and using the ancient philosophy is how we have tried to create programs over these last 3 years on self-development. If you're the leader, you set the example for the rest of the organization in the manner in which you conduct yourself, especially in times of crisis or otherwise. So that is really why we thought a program now, combating COVID, may be relevant. Back to you, JK.
Thanks, Ram. So a few years ago, I was invited to be a speaker at a meeting which was happening at the residence of a friend of mine. There must have been about 25, 30 people. And just before the talk was about to start, I had a coffee cup, porcelain cup in my hand. I had finished drinking coffee and I was looking for a place to keep the cup. And therefore the host quickly tried to come up to me to take the cup from me. As he came near, in the process of giving it to him, I allowed the cup to drop. The cup fell and broke into many pieces on the granite floor. Everybody in the audience said, "Hey, what happened? Why? How? Hey, what? Nothing, etc., etc." Lots of comments saying, "Hey, it's okay, we should have been careful." And I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the only thought which should go through our minds at this time is what next? The cup is broken. Nothing that we can do can unbreak the cup. The topic of my talk to you, all of you, is what next?" And later I went to expand on this, which is what we're going to do even during this session. And I remember a few years ago, Ramraj had bought a new car, a Mercedes-Benz. And while going to his office, his driver has to go through the 10-ampere signal. So he had parked it, waiting for the green light to come. A motorbike tried to squeeze in between the car and the pavement on the left. There was no gap, but he somehow tried to go through, scratched the car, and just zipped to the left and took off. Both the driver and Ramraj got out of the car and they found a huge scratch on a brand new Mercedes-Benz. He said, "Hey, what happened? How? Can we go catch him? Who's the guy?" Driver saying, "Ennoda thappu onnu illa sir, na correct ah dhaan nittirundhen, avaru dhaan edho vandu adichittu poittaru." All sorts of things, crowd gathering around, the policeman saying, "Enna sir, indha mari aidiche pudu car," all little commotion around it. Again, in Ramraj's mind, he said, "Hey, the only thought that should go through is what next? The car is scratched. Unscratching is not possible. Okay, we can catch that guy, or we can claim insurance, or we can do whatever we can do next, but the only thought is what next?" A few years ago, an uncle of mine, he would have been 87, 88 years old at that time. He still had a habit of going into the garden to water the plants. And that Sunday morning, as he was watering, he slipped and he sort of sat down near the garden area and he called out to me. I happened to be close by. I went and he said, "I'm not able to stand up. I think something is broken." When I tried to lift him up, he was in great pain and I could find that his thigh bone, there was certainly a problem. So I called another cousin of mine, lifted him, and I put him into the front passenger side of my car. He wanted to know, "What are you doing? Where are you taking me?" I said, "Mama, kavalapadade. Nama modalla poi hospital poi enna aachinu paakalam." He said, "Lada hospital la vana, apra fracture, idu adin solli adha solla poranga." I said, "Don't worry. We will do what we need to do next. We'll go first check up." And I made sure he's relaxed, took him to the hospital, and he said, "What happened? What happened?" I said, "At each stage, let us only focus on what next." Took an x-ray, it was a fracture. He wanted to know, "Hey, what are they going to do?" I said, "No, relax. We are in the best of places. We are in the Apollo Hospital. There are senior people here. We know most of them here. Don't worry." He said, "Surgery alal pannuvalada?" I said, "Yeah, it may be. Let us see each step." So step by step, always focusing on what next we could do. He underwent the surgery. In a few weeks, he was back on his feet with a walker. And then, yes, he was with us for a few years till he naturally passed away. But in all these situations, it was what next in any of these situations, which is the most appropriate thing for us to do.
Go ahead, take it.
So I want to say, tough times come unannounced. In the Ramayana, Rama was to be coronated the next day. And we all know what happened and what transpired. And just overnight, from a coronation which was to take place, he was sent on to Vanavas. And it happened overnight. Yudhishthira lost everything in 2 hours. In that dice game, his entire kingdom, his brothers, his wife, himself, everything was lost in just 2 hours. Some of these could be our own making, like the coffee cup was my own making. Some could be moved by others, like the person who scratched Ramraj's car and went off. No fault of Ramraj, but moved by others and create the tough times, accidents and health setbacks like what happened to my uncle, twists and turns in the industry of business cycle, and natural calamities like what we are facing now as far as COVID is concerned. And our entire session and what we wish to focus on and what we wish to share with all of you, whether it's a coffee cup or whether it is COVID, the most appropriate practical wisdom that we acquired from the ages, relevant then, relevant now, relevant forever, is to move to what next? Ram?
Go ahead.
So I want to take one more example. There's a car. A coconut fell on someone's car parked on the road. What is our normal response, reaction? Neighbor's coconut fell on the neighbor's car. Let us see what our reaction is. My coconut fell on the neighbor's car. Situation is still coconut fell on a car, but I'm getting involved now. My coconut fell on my car. Neighbor's coconut fell on my car. In all these situations, it's a coconut falling on a car, but let us look at how we respond, react in each one of these situations. Coconut falling on somebody's car parked on the road, we are a casual observer. We are a casual observer. Neighbor's coconut fell on neighbor's car. We know the neighbor. We are a casual participant. All that. But it is still casual in nature because it doesn't still involve us. My coconut fell on neighbor's car. I'm now a passionate observer because that guy may say, hey, you have to pay for it because it is your coconut which fell on my car. I'm a little concerned. I get a little more involved in that particular situation. But in both these, my coconut falling on my own car or a neighbor's coconut falling on my car, I am a passionate participant. And passionate participant, my emotions are completely going all over the place. COVID is happening in some place called Wuhan. I've never heard of that place. It's somewhere beyond something. I'm just a casual observer. In the country, then as it comes closer, and as it comes closer, I'm getting more passionate. And therefore, what was my response, reaction, when it was happening somewhere in the distance, in some unknown place, suddenly it's becoming very real and my emotions are now completely involved in what it is. Is there a way we can become dispassionate as an observer in each one of these situations. And that's what we're going to see as we move forward. Ram?
So the question is, why should you be a dispassionate observer? What is wrong in being a passionate participant or otherwise? The clarity when you are a casual participant, neighbor's coconut falls on neighbor's car, we will have a lot of very clear advice to give. My coconut falls on my car and we are saying, ayyo, and completely emotion takes over and clarity of thinking is what we need to be. So dispassionate, and that is why the focus on dispassionate, and we'll talk more about it. But the idea is in every incident, how can we be dispassionate in dealing with that situation? And that is really how this session we will try and explain. Any questions you have, if you raise your hand, Saurav will unmute you so that it can continue to be interactive like we used to do when we were having physical meetings, so that we know that you're all participating passionately and not dispassionately. All right, DK.
We are now in the eye of the storm. All of you know of the incident called the Chakra Vyuham, where Abhimanyu was involved in the Mahabharata. We are now in the eye of the storm. We are in our own Vyuham, battling something which is strange. Whether we entered that or that has come and occupied itself around us, we are still in the eye of the storm. Let us look at how we respond or react in 2-3 other dimensions that I wish to share with you. The first is, hey, how long will it last, or the duration? So if there is a challenge, let's say exams. Exams as a challenge, as a difficult situation, as a tough situation, may last for 2 weeks. But I know at the end of 2 weeks, maybe I can look forward to my holidays. So exams, it's a tough situation, but the duration is known to me, and that makes it a little easier for me to go through that tough situation. Ill health, yeah, maybe a couple of months. Tough situation, but it's 2 months. I may still have the courage and ability to go through that particular tough situation to handle what I need to handle. Let's say there are business issues. Okay, maybe the year is bad. Maybe it's part of an overall industry cycle. And if I've been in business long enough, I know, yeah, I need to somehow manage this year till the industry cycle turns around or some other things happen. But yes, it's still tough, but there is a duration which I know after which something can happen. But COVID, when the duration becomes unknown, and when all sorts of people all around us, experts and others, are sending information, putting in their own analysis, projections, predictions, expert advice, we are in the realm of complete unknown, complete uncertainty. Therefore, the rattle, we use the word rattle and disturbance, which are the disturbing emotions in us. The rattle and the disturbance in COVID is much, much higher than the rattle or a disturbance for facing exams or ill health or business issues, because the unknowns are all around us, and therefore the rattle and disturbance much higher. Ram?
Go ahead, Jackie.
The second dimension, who all are affected? I'll take an example. Let's say there's a power failure in Wuhan. Doesn't affect me too much. Power failure in my locality. Now I want to know, is somebody doing something? Has anybody called? Because it's now closer to home. Power failure in my locality, I'm now slowly getting affected. Power failure only in my flat. Then the rest of the flats in my building have power. Now I have a greater problem because I have to do something about this. The problem is now localized and I need to handle. The agitation, the rattle, the disturbance when it's power failure only in my flat, much higher than power failure in my locality because I'm thinking somebody will call them, somebody will do something about it for it to set right. Power failure in Wuhan, oh yeah, poor guys, yeah, they had a power failure. But beyond that, it doesn't touch me. In all these situations, therefore, we are in the eye of the storm. What can I do? No idea. Follow the herd. Let's do what everybody else does. Or just hope and pray. We want to now move towards what we think is the way in which we should handle any situation, any storm, any difficult aspects, while keeping in mind that these aspects affect us, some affect us more, some disturb and rattle us more when some of these dimensions become unknown and when it is closer to home. Come.
Next slide.
Therefore, towards what next? So many things disturb us in real life. Oh, he said that. Oh, she didn't say that. Oh, you did that. Oh, you didn't do that. Oh, he should have done. He should have said. She shouldn't have. Oh, it did happen. Oh, it didn't happen. Oh, it should have happened. Oh, it shouldn't have happened. Each one of these disturbs us, rattles us in some way because it's something unexpected. Somebody said, somebody did, somebody didn't do, somebody didn't say, it should have happened, it shouldn't have happened. All these immediately start to bother us, create its own rattles or disturbance. Now let's look at a little twist. Oh, he said, if I change to, okay, he said. Okay, she didn't say. Okay, you did. Okay, you didn't do. Okay, he should have. Okay, she should have. Okay, it did. Okay, it didn't. Okay, it should have. Okay, it shouldn't have. The moment I say okay, I'm starting to accept that that particular situation or that particular incident or that particular event has happened. And so when you accept, changing O to okay is the first step towards moving to what next. And you will see that the disturbance starts to disappear the moment we have changed O to okay and starting to accept the reality of the situation.
Accepting is not defeatism. Oh, I can't do anything. This is it. This is my fate. This is not acceptance. Acceptance is a clear assessment of the situation. What is happening, an assessment of the people, assessment of the situation, and then saying, okay, now what? Many a time when we accept or we think accepting, we think we are helpless and therefore we are saying, okay. That is not the Indic way. Indic way is an assessment first of reality, of real check, and then saying, let me see what next. And that is the difference in the acceptance. Is it passive? Is it defeatist? Or is it saying, come on, let's see now, what do we do? There is a fuse, there is a power cut in my house, what do I do? So that is the acceptance here. JK.
So like Ram said, acceptance is only an acknowledgement of the reality. This is what it is. The cup is broken. The car is crashed. I have a fracture. COVID is here. In every one of that, it is only acknowledgement of the reality, and we are removing all the emotions that can otherwise surround that particular event or situation and coming to its essence to say, this is what it is, this is the reality. And that gives you the ability to control all the random thoughts and emotions which are the disturbances in our mind, and gives us then that ability or the power to move towards what next. So acceptance is a preparatory stage, and it's a very, very powerful emotion in us, which then helps us to acknowledge that particular reality and prepares us to move towards what next. So when we want to talk of eliminating the disturbances and the rattles, because to move towards what next and to arrive at what is the most appropriate thing to do, emotions must be removed. The disturbing emotions must be removed. Otherwise, that decision towards what next itself is a clouded decision. That's not going to take you to what we need, where we need to go. It is so important to do two things. One is the acceptance, saying, hey, this is the reality. Equally important that the disturbances and the rattles are removed. And that is when there is clarity to move towards what next. So if in this time dimension, there are what we call rattles of the past, rattles of the present, and rattles of the future. The rattles of the past are these: regrets, guilt, hurts. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. So, anything. But if they're all in, or he shouldn't have done, somebody hurt me. We carry this in our mind, but they're all the rattles of the past. Then there's the rattle of the present. Immediate anger, disappointment, frustration. These are all happening around the events that are happening. A car is crashed. How the hell can somebody come, blah, blah, etc. A coconut is fallen. So it is around that particular moment and the rattles of the present. Normally, anger, disappointment, frustration, fear, all of these can happen in that moment. And it's the rattle of the present. Then the rattle of the future, anxiety, uncertainty, fear, like what it is in COVID, or what it could be when there is an absolute business failure or a financial issue or a health issue, and there are some unknowns. In any of these cases, I remember a discussion between a guru and his sishyas, where he is talking about the same thing, that hey, we need to see how to make sure that these emotions that trouble us can become controlled. And he talks about this to say, we don't understand our mind so much. So I want to talk to you about our body. I'm going to ask you some questions. I don't expect any answers from you, but I will provide the answer. So it was more a dialogue where he himself is asking the question and he's giving the answer. So he says, what keeps our body strong? He pauses for a second and he says, our body is strong as long as our body does not become weak. Okay, that's a very logical way of looking at it. Why does our body become weak? Is the next logical question. Our body becomes weak because our body expends energy. When our body expends energy, it becomes weak. Again, very logical in terms of that step. Why does the body expend energy? The body expends energy because the body moves. When the body moves, the body expends energy, and so the body becomes weak. Why does the body move? The body moves because there is space around the body. There is space around the body, so the body moves. When it moves, it expends energy, and therefore it becomes weak. Then his question, what is the space in which the mind moves? Anybody here who can come up with something? What is the space in which the mind moves? Anybody in the audience wishes to have a go at it? What is the space in which the mind moves? If anybody raises their hand, Saurav, could you please unmute?
Oh, thoughts, they're saying. There's an answer here. See. Thoughts.
What is the space in which it moves? Like the body is moving all around because there is space, the body moves. What is the space in which the mind moves? Saurav, are you able to see anybody raising hand and you can take control?
Pradeep has raised his
Raised
hand.
Yeah.
Pradeep has raised his hand.
Yes, sir.
Saurabh,
Good
could you-
evening. I hope the body, when the mind moves, based on the matter on which it wants to think.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? There are two more participants who raised hands. So Saurav, if you could unmute them, we'll get two more inputs.
Mr. Silvaraj, you're on. You can speak. Mr. Silvaraj? I think we've lost. I'll unmute the next person. It's Mr. Nanda.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mind moves between past, present, and future.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for that. The mind moves into the past and the mind moves into the future. When the mind moves into the past, it's filled with this regrets, guilt, hurts, or when it moves into the future, it has anxiety, fear, uncertainty, which it is handling. When it moves, the mind expends energy. When the mind expends energy, the mind becomes weak. So the way to keep the mind strong is to keep it on the present and to bring its focus into what you need to handle now. That is what the Guru informed his disciples to say. The way in which we try to do everything, whether it's the body or the mind, see if the movement of the mind into the past and the future is arrested, keeping it here removes the disturbances. And for us, in this principle of moving towards what next, it is so important to eliminate the disturbances and the rattles. So the two steps which are preparatory to moving to what next: accept, acknowledge the reality, remove the disturbances and the rattles, and therefore get the strength to take that most appropriate move towards what next. Ram?
Next.
So, implementing what next? Accept, move to what next after making sure that all the rattles are minimized, if not removed. List the options, evaluate the options, decide on the options, move to that action. And a very important aspect which we brought in the incident of the coconut falling on the car, do it by becoming a dispassionate observer, and that is what gets you to the most appropriate action, which is devoid of all emotions, but it is quickly accepting situations, removing the disturbance. Okay, what next? List the options. What is the best thing we can do, and move towards it. Ram?
So I was talking to an entrepreneur who was wanting to present his annual plan as to what is going to happen in 2021. And this was towards the end of March. And so he said, look, there is some uncertainty. So I'll come back to you early April. His plan early April was marginally lower than the plan that he presented in March. So I said, what is the difference? He said, with COVID, there's some uncertainty. But from July, I think things will open, an event management company. So I'll have my events, instead of in August, September, I'll have it in November, December. I'll have people coming. And everything was, life is going to be the same. It is just a little delayed. Instead of today, it will be maybe tomorrow, day after. And there was no acceptance that there is a new normal and that by the time we shake hands with each other, it's going to be a long time. We will continue to do namaste, but shaking hands, meeting is going to be sometime. We don't even know when. It could be October, November, December, but when you're planning today, first is accept. Once he accepted and that went home, he's come back with a fantastic plan of virtual conferences, virtual events, and he's actually starting to do them from this month. He's in into business already. He's not waiting for July and August and all that. He is acting. And the whole thing started with his accepting that there is a new normal. Till then, there was total paralysis of action because you're still living in some past normal. And for most of us today, that is how we are sometimes stuck in taking decisions in our businesses. We need to think, what is the new normal? There is no new auspicious day for when to start doing our business. It is from now. How can we do from now? What are my options? And to face that reality and start looking at doing business from now, getting on to relationships, to anything that we have been holding back because we are waiting for a new normal. That, I think, starts with that acceptance. Back to you, Jackie.
And we want to cover one more dimension in this moving towards what next and how to make sure that there is focus on that, which is this particular aspect of what do I control. So what do I control? Anybody here who wants to raise their hands and have a go at this to say, what do I control? Jawahar raised hand. So Saurav, please, if you could.
Yeah. Sir, this is Jawahar, Coimbatore.
Yeah.
So you asked, what do I control? I feel that, I just control myself. I don't have control on any other things around me, or I don't have a control on other people. But I feel that what do I control? I control myself, my thoughts, my actions.
Very nice. Very nice. Anybody else who has any other input for us?
Satish
What do I
says, I
control?
control my reaction.
Yeah. Jawahar, and anybody else who has an input?
Mr. Pradeep, you can go on. You're unmuted.
Yeah, sir. We need to control our angry, scared, and anxiousness.
Pardon?
Angry, scared, and
Okay.
anxious.
Okay. 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 So
Well,
we had an input. Yeah.
person,
Anybody else?
Miss Jayanti is here. One
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, you're on. We can hear you.
I think I'll control my expenditure and lifestyle.
All right. So something which you can do. Things in your control.
Yes.
Okay. So if I summarize some of these inputs, what do I control? Are only my thoughts, my words, and my actions. Somebody here said it right. So what do I control? I only can control my thoughts, my words, and my actions. So what you had said about my expenses or my lifestyle, these are actions that I can control. So they are coming within the realm of what I can control. So what do I control? My thoughts, my words, and my actions. What do I not control? Anybody? What is it that I do not control?
Mr. Raj, you're on. We can hear.
Everything external and unknown.
Very nice. Everything external and unknown. Very nice. Anybody else with any other input for us?
Mr. Jawahar, you can go on.
Yeah. So anybody who is not me, and
Okay.
anything,
Other people
anything,
you're saying. Yeah.
anything that's around me,
Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot control,
Yeah. So what is it that I do not control? Anybody else here who has a view to offer?
Mr. Pradeep?
Yes, sir. Which is not in our hands.
Okay. Okay. So
We have
what
another
is,
also, sir.
pardon? We have one
We have
more?
4 more participants who have raised their hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Nanda?
Yeah, we cannot control the events and situation that's going around us.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Miss Jayanti, you can go on now.
Yeah, maybe nature calamities probably we can't control.
Oh, yes. Yes. Right.
natural calamities.
Yeah. Okay, shall we summarize,
Yes.
or anybody else wants a view?
I think we are done. I think we are done.
Okay, okay. So what is it that I do not control? Results and outcomes. So let's understand, I can do whatever I think is the best to do, which is even though actions are in my hands and I do a particular action, outcome is not in my hands. I think this is the best thing to do in order to get that particular outcome. It could be sales, it could be getting marks in an examination, it could be anything. Like we used to say, if I need to reach my office, which let us say is in Tidal Park. If I want to say, I will reach at 10 o'clock, to a large extent, that outcome is not in my hands. But if I say, I will leave home at 9, that is very much something which is within my hands. So I can leave at 9. I hope I will reach at 10. But outcome, really speaking, is not in my hands. A lot of things like that. So results and outcomes is something I do not control. And the environment I do not control. By environment, it is people, it is many things which are outside of me, like many of you rightly said. So those two I do not control. So if we just take this parallel, Ram, I think if we can spend a few minutes here just to say, let us take this situation called COVID. In COVID, what is it I control? In COVID, what is it I do not control? Anybody? Anybody wishes to offer an input? Yeah, we're getting the same guys raising hands. So we need to get some others to come forward with some of their input. So I'm requesting Jawahar and others to say, let me give opportunities to some others who haven't spoken yet. Saurav, do you find anybody else who are so far haven't provided an input?
There's
You
Miss
get the
Appa.
first.
I'll be unmuting her. Ma'am, you're on.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, for me, the rumors are uncontrollable.
Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. All this thing bombarding you from all over the place is something you don't control.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Pradeep, you can go on now.
Yeah, during COVID situation, we can control ourselves how to prevent the COVID, which won't be coming for us by staying at home. The other thing is which we cannot control spreading. We are unable to restrict people going out, and that is which is out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what do I control? What do I not control? And here is another very important thing. What controls me? Anybody? What controls me? Saurav, look for people who haven't yet given an input, and if you find anybody like that, please unmute them first.
Done. None of them have raised their hands yet.
So educated.
Obviously, this is what controls me. An errant mind. It is my mind and my thoughts that takes control. Unbridled emotions. The unbridled emotions, the errant mind, are the one which really is controlling me. Which means, though I want to do something, I'm not in control because the stupid mind and the stupid emotions, they have taken control over me. What do I do now? So we have to look at all these three in our implementing what next and moving towards it. And our recommendation and the wisdom which we have got from the ages, focus on this, forget about this, and work on your intellect to bring mind and emotions into our control Ram, I would request you to give some inputs about that particular aspect.
So I know many of you may have heard us talk about the intellect, but for those who are hearing it for the first time, let me take this opportunity to explain that our body acts based on one of two equipment that we have in us. One is the mind. The second is the intellect. You are here listening to this session because you said, hey, I think JK speaks nicely, and therefore I like to hear it. Or that is the mind, which depends on and brings up likes and dislikes. Like I love to eat sweets, but I'm diabetic. My mind says, hey, this rasgulla looks fantastic. You must have it. Luckily, so far, the intellect then tells me you're diabetic. It's the power of discrimination, the power that tells you watch out, that this emotion is not okay, manage it, direct it. So that equipment in us that helps direct and manage unbridled emotions, that equipment is called the intellect. We need to strengthen our intellect to direct our emotions to meet whatever goals we set for ourselves. Otherwise, each time we have a like or a dislike, we will be going in different directions. And that's when what controls me could be just likes and dislikes and not necessarily a purpose directed by your intellect, a purpose that you have set. It's not a purpose that I set for anybody. It is what you set for yourself, at which time to bring focus to the purpose that you have set for yourself, that equipment in you, called the intellect, you bring that to the forefront, channelize your mind so that all energies are to meet that purpose. Every time we want to do something, there's a distraction because the mind says, hey, why not 5 minutes later? Let me just take 5 minutes and think of something else. So the ability to focus, ability to channelize your emotion, that is the power of the intellect. And that we'll talk about sometime on how to strengthen that intellect. But just remember that we act either because of the mind or because of the intellect. The quality of our actions improve exponentially when the intellect directs our actions.
So towards implementing what next, it's also important to look at what is it I control and see if my actions are more towards what is it I control and what is it that's something which I can do. So combating COVID the Indic way, we have seen that 3 principles: accept, move to what next, and as dispassionate as possible in how we decide and how we take those actions. Let us now apply it specifically to COVID. So have you accepted? It's the first question. In personal life, in professional life, and in business. How many of you, you can just raise your hand, you don't need to speak, have accepted that, yes, there is COVID. It is a new reality. Or we are still saying, hey, how can this happen? Yeah, I mean, these China guys, how could such things happen? Have you accepted? Yes, lots are raising their hands. So yes. Good. Looks like some have accepted, some have not yet accepted. Okay, what next? In what next? Things that I can do. Following hygiene, social distancing, adopting new ways, work from home, shopping safe, counseling, comforting elders and children. All these are the things that I can do. Things that I can't do, but many indulge in that. What the government should be doing, what Modi should do, what Trump should do, what different state governments must do, what somebody else must do, how they should do, how they shouldn't do. Like some others said, well, how different people reacting, responding, many things that are not in our hands, things that we don't control, focus doesn't go there. The focus is on making sure these things I follow properly, these things I do properly, because it is so important in this situation that we are safe, that we are taking care of ourselves, our family, people around us, people who are working for us, people associated with us. They could be servant maids, they could be drivers, there could be many others, guiding them, counseling them. It is all about things that are in my control, but which I should do in this particular situation. Supporting each other, skilling, building for tomorrow. We do want to address aspects of business because it is that sort of an audience which is part of this group, and therefore even in the next 2 or 10-15 minutes we're going to specifically talk of business and what we need to do under this change situation as far as business is concerned. So in what next? It is this hygiene, social distancing, adopting new ways, counseling and supporting, skilling and building for tomorrow. Always, like we said, focused on what is in your control and unaffected by what is not in your control. This unaffected is where many people have a problem, because they tend to get affected by things that are not in the control. So many things are bombarding us in all the TV channels, all the WhatsApp groups, in everything and anything that we see, different projections, different predictions, different things which are all depressing, but that affects. And if we can remove the fact that, hey, those are not in my control, I will focus on what all I can do and do that after removing the disturbances, we will certainly move to a purposeful what next under this particular situation, and that is the way to combat COVID. Ram?
Till we accept, there is no chance of what next. Because we are then still thinking that on Monday, everything is going to open and I can go back to being like before. And that fact that it is not going to be exactly like before. Degrees of difference could be completely different, could be degrees of difference, but an acceptance that it is going to be different. If I have an office, not more than 50% people are going to be allowed in the office because of social distancing. How am I going to get my productivity up? How will I pay salaries? So an acceptance that things are different will get me thinking about all these other issues. Till then, we are still thinking Monday the 4th, I think I can get to work and everything will be as before. The fact that we can even think of alternative ways to generate income, all of that comes only once we accept that, hey, we have to think differently, to start looking at what else is there. For example, the travel and the hotel industry could be seriously challenged. Now, first is to accept that they could be seriously challenged and then see what next. Companies are saying that when people come to work, we would like to put them up so that they don't need to go to and fro. Is there an opportunity there to now tie up with the IT industry and provide a flat close by for accommodation, for food, many things? So we start thinking, these are just some thoughts, but they don't come till we accept that, hey, there is going to be difference, and therefore we need to start thinking, what else can I do? Professionally, personally. Okay.
Okay. Now let us look at managing tough times in business. Certainly we are in tough times. I want to share with you this little story of the potato, egg, and coffee bean. A daughter sorry, comes to her father and says, Dad, everything is going wrong for me. Nothing is working out. My career is in a problem. My boss is tough. My work is non-interesting. I don't know where I'm headed. My boyfriend is creating problems for me. I don't know whether I can build relationships. It's one problem after another. When I thought I have solved something, a new one has surfaced. My car is giving me problems. My dog is giving me problems. I'm just moving from problem to problem. I don't know what this life is all about. Looks like there is no end to what I need to go through. So the father says, come with me. The father is a chef, so he takes her to the kitchen, lights the stove, puts 3 kettles, fills them with water, bowls, 3 open pans into which water is boiling. Into one, he puts potatoes. Into another, he puts a few eggs. And into the third, he puts some ground coffee beans. Allows that water to boil for about 20 minutes. Doesn't talk to his daughter during the meanwhile, just staying quiet. And his daughter is wondering, hey, what are you doing? I am asking you something serious about my life, and you are here just boiling a few things in 3 of your pans. After the 20 minutes are over, he switches off, takes out the potatoes, puts them into a bowl, takes out the eggs, puts them into another bowl, ladles out the coffee and places it in a cup. And then he asks his daughter to first feel the potatoes. She touches them, finds that they are soft. Then he says, you now feel the eggs. So she is able to feel the shell of the egg and finds that it's a hard-boiled egg. And he says, now you take the coffee. She tastes the coffee from the cup. A smile comes on her face. And then she says, look, but what's all this about? He says, understand that all 3, the potato, the egg, and the coffee bean, were all exposed to the same adversity, to the same tough situation called boiling water. The potato went in hard, strong, unrelenting, and came out soft. The egg was fragile with a gooey liquid inside, but it came out with a harder shell and the inside turned hard and strong. The coffee bean did something very wonderful. It changed the environment around it and it converted that hot water into very tasty coffee. Situation was the same, but the 3 of them addressed the situation and handled it in a different manner. And he said, so my dear daughter, are you a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean? And what do you want to be? That is the difference.
Go ahead, take it.
So resetting to the new normal. Ram has already covered it, but in this specific case, accepting and saying this is the new normal. And many of our friends, we've been talking to entrepreneurs all over, not only here, all over the world. Everybody is clear there is no such thing as going back to pre-COVID days. We are all going to move into a post-COVID new normal in the way we're going to do business, in the way we're going to engage with each other. There are not going to be physical meetings. Even if I want to meet a customer, the customer is going to say, don't enter my cabin. Whatever you want to tell me, give me a call or get onto Zoom or get onto one of these platforms, and that's what it is. Nobody is going to welcome us, and therefore resetting to the new normal is what we need to do. Ram?
So I'm a great salesman when I am face to face. When I'm there 3 feet away, I can talk, I can show some things, and I can cajole an order out of you. I may not have the skill now where I'm not face to face and I'm sitting far away. I'm not able to look you in the eye as closely as I would like. Not able to see if you're bored with my presentation or not. What is the skill I need now to sell, to get my order? Am I retraining myself? Will it happen automatically now that because I could sell face to face and pound you on the back and show brochures and presentations right there, all that is going to come back in July, and so I'll be okay? So how do I reset myself internally, reskill myself, start doing things in a way in which I become productive irrespective of what the external environment is going to be, so that I can continue to be successful, continue to feel satisfied? And that is why that we have to reset to the new normal and reskill ourselves, and acceptance that I need to maybe modify the way I sell and then adjust, not wait. This is a time when we should be reskilling and readjusting to the new normal.
So resetting to the new normal, handling issues, letting go of frills, don't duck calls. These are important things. See, when we are moving towards this, talk to people, talk to customers, talk to vendors, talk to bankers. Everybody understands these are change scenarios. And we don't need to worry or think that this is not unique to you. It's happening all over the world. The Boeings of the world have the same issues. The Ford and the GM have the same issues. The largest of industries in India have the same issues. We may have the same issue. So there's no need for us to duck. It is not as if this is a power cut only in your house. There's a power cut in the whole world. And therefore, face aspects, talk to customers, talk to vendors, talk to bankers, talk to your own people. Transparency is important. Talk about the situation, the employees in the organization, friends, family, wherever, whatever. And it's about situation, the steps that are being taken. If pay cuts are required, if retention is required, letting go is required, all to be done with due consideration, sensitivities, whatever has to be looked at. But the moves to be done is towards one word that we wish to use. This is a moment of survival. This is a moment for us in business to survive. Because only if we survive, we have the opportunities of doing what we need to do in the new normal and doing whatever could be things which will come our way moment this particular issue is getting handled. And this is getting handled on a global footing too. Everybody is working towards finding a solution. So our thing now is survival is important, and we need to do everything that we need to do with the courage, transparency, and the moves that we need to make which are appropriate, keeping all sensitivities in mind towards what we need to do. And towards that, then, it's handling family. This is where I have a lovely thing which I want to share, that in the Mahabharata, after the Kurukshetra war, even though the Pandavas have won, Yudhishthira is a heartbroken man. Yudhishthira is thinking, hey, why did we have to do all this? Our gurus are dead. Our own cousins, our children, many of our friends who fought for us, so many millions of soldiers, animals, so much of destruction towards war. And he's a very depressed person. Though his brothers talk to him, Vyasa talks to him, different people are talking to him, he's not able to get out of it, and he's completely in this mood to saying, I want to give up everything and go away. I don't need this kingdom. I don't need this particular being emperor of this whole world, but I want to move away, is what his mindset is. Krishna talks to him, and Krishna tells him, my dear Yudhishthira, here is a battle which only you can fight. Here is a battle in which all your armies, all your brothers, all your friends who fought for you are of no use. This is a battle with your own mind. And this battle with your mind, only your mind will be able to provide you with answers. Nobody outside of yourself can give you anything to move to what you need to do. So in handling yourself, it is like what Ramraj said, the intellect side of us, removing all the emotions, making sure that our mind is becoming stronger, and that is what is important for us to move forward. So handling family, handling yourself, the power of what next, which we have presented to you during the session, apply that through evaluating the options, buying time, and taking that appropriate action after removing as much of the disturbances and the rattles that we may have. This is the approach for us to handle and manage these tough times. Ram?
It is not that we are not scared as to what's going to happen. It is not that emotions are not there. It is not that uncertainty is not there. The intellect, the discriminatory power in us, helps us manage this fear and anxiety into a plan, into a right action, so that we can go to what next and move on in life, not get weighed down. So these emotions are there and will be there. How do we overcome? How do we manage? How do we direct? Is the intellect helping us in moving to what next? So don't be overwhelmed that you are worried. If the worry stops you from acting, then get worried. But otherwise, it is a natural reaction. Get on top of it and then think what else. There are so many people. There are some people who are just making masks and saying, this I will do. Looking at what are COVID related opportunities in and around me that I can help and maybe survive. So maybe as a tech person, there's somebody we know who's helped create an app to monitor all this, what's happening around us. So many ways we start looking at solving adjacent problems. Start looking at what are my strengths? What else do I need? What can I do? And we start thinking of what next. That will happen only once we start coming to accept and then move forward. JK?
So let's talk a minute about recovering from the tough times, because this is not only about combating COVID, but also progressing beyond. Let's understand there are no smart answers or smart solutions. This is not about having one smart strategy to come up with something and then do to get a market share or achieve a short-term objective. There are no smart answers or smart solutions. There are no band-aid solutions to what we need. We need to go towards regrouping, re-equipping, enlisting support. And you will find that in all our epics, whether it was Yudhishthira who got support from so many friends, or Rama from Sugriva and the army of monkeys, everybody needs support and regroup in times when it is challenging. We need to seek everything from vendors, customers, employees, others, but it's about regrouping and re-equipping. Seeking financial solutions, let us not be hesitant to talk about them, but we should, our bankers or others, and then seek financial solutions, including going after customers, whether they take our calls, they duck our calls, but we should continue what we need to do to seek financial solutions, strategic reconstruction if that is required, re-examine the business, like Ram said. I know lots of companies, especially towards successful recovery, everybody is thinking with my same, one is like Ram said, are there some COVID related opportunities? The second direction is with whatever are my core strengths, is there something I can do in that new situation which is going to emerge? Which means I may still continue in my core area, but I'm working towards a solution which will be useful in this new emerging scenario. Ram, you had some things to offer there. We're talking of what the NGOs are doing, some of the others are doing.
So, first of all, there are many financial possibilities to get some help. If you are a small finance company, there seems to be. MSME, there seems to be. I think SIDBI spoke to all of us. The general manager from SIDBI, she spoke to all of us yesterday, I think, talking about what possibilities there are. This is a time when we reach out and look. And so first is to make sure that whatever possible aid is there, we are at least reaching out and trying to get some capital, some cash to support our activity. So that is the first thing. Second is, what can we do for our customers today so that we stay engaged? And there are people who have reached out to just make sure that collections, okay, I know you can't pay now. What can I do? Is there something we can do? Stay in touch so that the first opportunity, you are top of mind for that receivable. So there are examples now of people saying, I would like to pay you because I now want to take something to move to my next business. Retraining and then moving on. There's a company that's been managing education in small affordable schools across the country. In March itself, by the end of March, early April, they had converted all of that into online. And all the schools are now offering that as online. Same content, teachers being retrained, but they're back in business with about 2 weeks gap. That's all. So there are many things. The way we are now, we need to start thinking. Plenty of examples where, like what we are doing today, where we are talking to you on Zoom, similarly, you can continue to do your business. What business can you do like this? So I think we will wait for questions and try and answer after this.
So this is our last slide, after which we want to keep aside 15 minutes for Q&A. So the Indic way, if we summarize, there are events and situations, and especially the ones which are negative, tough, unpleasant. Those are the ones. Accept the reality, move to what next, take the most appropriate actions, no expectations and no guarantees, and the circle continues, because after your actions, if you need to correct it, it's a new situation. And this continuous cycle is the way we are using the principles and practices we know have helped over the ages to be strong in our mind, to keep our emotions and disturbing thoughts at bay, and have that clarity with which both thoughts, words, actions take us forward and give us the ability to overcome any situation that we may need to face.
Question?
Thank you.
Yes, Ashok. Can you unmute Ashok? Saurav?
Can you hear me? I don't know if you can see me, but can you hear me at least?
Yeah, I
Can see and hear. Yes.
Wonderful. I can't see myself. Never mind. I have a question for both of you. So you're saying control the mind. The mind is very agitated. Take it to a place where it becomes constructive. So you're moving from what I might call, for at least some people, below the graph to above the graph. So as a process, you have to start to move towards zero, which means take the agitated mind, at least make it placid where it is not agitated, and then move it from there to a constructive point where it actually helps you to cope with the situation. So instead of being destructive about what's happening, you are becoming constructive about what's happening. Now, at a very practical level, my question to you is, are there any small tips which help you to traverse this journey? I mean, when something is churning, if you wanted to stop all of a sudden, if a car is moving in a certain direction, first you've got to brake, you've got to stop, then you've got to put it into reverse gear or some other gear, you've got to move somewhere else. So at a practical level, if I have to do something this evening at 7 o'clock, do you have any suggestions on what one could do to facilitate this process? And I don't want to prejudice your answer to me, but purely to provide clarity on what my mind is working on. One thought that came to me was some rudimentary form of meditation. When you are agitated, just stop thinking, just close your eyes, focus on some nothingness, and allow yourself to at least become unagitated before you can move to the next level of being positive or constructive about your situation. Now, is there anything else you would like to add? I'm sure you're more experienced.
So there is, like I said, actually Mahesh answered saying meditate, Ashok, your question. So first of all, the mind, there are two equipments in our body. It's a long session, but it takes a long time to explain. I'll try and do it in a minute or so. The mind by nature has all these thoughts. It can go anywhere, which is why it is restless. It is wandering. It'll jump from one place to another. And it can be compared to a monkey for that reason. And somebody who is in control of an army of such monkeys is godlike. And that is what is the power that you have if you're able to channelize your mind. Now, nature has given us another equipment called the intellect, which it is like the example you gave that my car is going fast. What do I do? If you have a good brake, then you can apply it. If the brake is faulty, then you have a problem. At what time you can put it into, change your gears, do all that. And sometimes that is what this pausing or meditating might bring, a temporary relief for a moment. But it is not long term, because when I'm sitting and meditating, as I think, suddenly my mind remembers saying, did I buy a new mask? I have to go out after this. Do I have enough supply of mask? Oh my God, when will this lockdown lift? Oh God, we come to the first. What about salaries? And it's gone. So one thought triggers a chain, and God only knows where it goes. And we are cursing the government for locking us all up. So in order to channelize our mind and to be able to even meditate or keep a focus, that intellect needs to be strengthened. Like anything else that needs to, any equipment, any part, like if you want to build up biceps, it doesn't happen overnight. Every day at the gym, I need to keep lifting small weights to heavy weights over time. So one of the exercises that has been recommended, one is of course to read early morning and think and reflect. But there is another simpler exercise that has been recommended, that before you go to sleep at night, do what is called an introspection, which is just run through the day's events. Don't analyze. Moment you analyze, you have lost it. In 2 minutes, you just run through the day's events. If you forgot what you ate for breakfast, doesn't matter, go to the next and the next. Don't go back and say, oh yeah, that idli I had was lousy today. Forget it. Just run through the day's events, which means you're actually channelizing your thoughts and getting the intellect to stay focused. And if you do that every day, slowly you will find that the quality of your intellect strengthens, and we start saying less and less, oh shucks, I wish I had thought of it at that time. And your intellect is available at the time of taking action. Therefore, you are able to get the better out of you, and you're able to do what you just asked, that to channelize the mind and stay focused on what you want to do.
Thank you, Ram.
Ashok, I have another input. See, this is not like when you're disturbed or you're saying disturbances are coming my way. And can I do meditation or can I do something? To me, it has always been, it's not like, hey, I've got BP, I've got cholesterol, can you please give me a tablet so that it's controlled? This is not a tablet-oriented thing to say, therefore, when I'm getting disturbed, please give me a tablet so that in 5 minutes the disturbance is going away. Whether the tablet is one exercise called meditation or pranayama, etc., etc., it is beyond that. So we must first understand that we have, all of us basically have different natures. And our ancients call it between sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. And this is part of our nature. We are a mix of all this. And that to a large extent determines my basic nature with which I have some ability to take the ups and downs. A good friend of mine in Rotary, he came out of puja. Okay, when I went to his house, he said, sorry, but disturb panna mudiyadhu, puja la irukka. So he came out of puja, which means for the 10-15 minutes he was in puja. He came out with all that, with his Rudraksh, Malaya and other things around him. He came from puja. His wife told him, driver called and said he's not going to come. He said, what? He blew. So the puja of the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes had no impact on his ability to respond or reaction to one piece of news saying driver is not going to come. So I would say this ability is ourselves becoming conscious of the fact that the disturbances are happening. And then there are 3 dimensions in which people have addressed or want us to look at, especially disturbances. By disturbances, I want to talk of the most common: anger, fear, anxiety. Jealousy, envy and all are not as frequent as anger, fear, anxiety. Anger, fear, anxiety. You will find these are the ones which disturb most of us, especially when situations are difficult. Pleasant situations all of us can handle. 100 out of 100 we can easily handle. But I failed in the exam. My son or daughter failed in the exam. We can't handle. So it's the negative situation which causes disturbance. And at that time they said 3 things if you can look after or track. First is frequency. How often are you getting disturbed? 10 times a day, once a day, 3 times, what? Frequency is important. Second is intensity. When I get angry, I throw everything around. I shout at people. What is its intensity on the Richter scale, like an earthquake happening? What is its duration? How long does it last? I get angry and in 2 minutes I say, hey, forget it, it's okay. Or I am angry, I am hurt, I carry it for life. Frequency, intensity, duration, work on it, keep reducing each one of these dimensions. Our ability grows because this is not a one-time thing, but we can get there as we are conscious. It is our mind working on our mind. And that is what gives us then that ability to reduce these disturbances.
Thank you, JK. Thank you.
Okay.
Saurav, there's some people wanting questions. Three.
Mr. Jawar, you are on.
Yeah, sir, I would like to know from both of you. Regarding the recent COVID-19 situation, most of the entrepreneurs have financial constraints, right? There is no money flow. So it's so difficult for them to pay their employees, pay their vendors, and the customers are canceling the orders. In one of the areas that you mentioned, be a dispassionate, observer, right? So I would like to know from you, how is it possible to be a very dispassionate observer when the house is on fire, or when you don't have money to run your factory, or someone who is very close to you has died. These circumstances. These are some examples that I can think of. How is it even possible to be a dispassionate observer in those circumstances? Can you please throw some light on this?
Ram, you want to go ahead?
Okay. So Jawahar, when your house is on fire, first just throw some water.
Okay.
Immediately. Okay. That time, dispassionate is there is a clarity. Ayo, help is one part of it. Okay. Dispassionate observer does not mean there is no action. It is a bringing clarity of action and action orientation. I see a fire, I'm ready to pick up a bucket of sand and put it out.
Okay.
So that quality in which you are able to act in any circumstance is how it is. It doesn't mean that you're not worried. It doesn't prevent quality action. That is the first thing when we say dispassionate observer.
Okay.
It's clarity of thought brought in when there is agitation all around you or when there's a crisis all around.
Okay.
So that is the starting point. It doesn't mean that you sit on the thing and watch the fire.
Okay. But in the recent, with this COVID-19 situation, sir,
yeah,
most of the factory owners, even though they know that they have to pay their employees, they have to pay the vendors. Now they don't have money to pay them. So
So that is the reality.
Okay.
Jawahar, that is the reality for all of us.
Okay.
Somehow we managed April. We don't know how on earth we're going to manage May.
Okay.
Most people in April itself decided that we will cut. Speak to employees. We don't know how long. Let us see that the cash that we have, we can extend it as much as possible. People who we owe money, we delay that by talking to them, not ducking. So we plan our cash flows to the best of our ability. It still means we could be broke and we don't even have anything to do all this. That will come to next. But the first thing is that in April, we don't pay 100%.
Okay.
From then there are people who have been, and all employees have got together and said, we know this is a challenge. You draw attention, put our heads together and see how long we can draw this so that there is sustenance cash coming into everybody as much as possible. Some don't do that, have actually said, I can't pay at all. Maybe half of you. And some we will see. People who are single, maybe nothing is paid. So there are ways in which people have managed. I don't want to go into details, but people have thought through. There is for MSME soft loans that are being offered. How do we get it? So we start looking at that. How do we go to customers who may want to start buying? What can we do? Can we start production? So multiple ways, but first is to accept a reality that this is tough times and I have only so much cash. And I now need to figure out how to manage home and business for the next 3 months, at least, maybe more. JK?
Okay.
So same thing I would say, Jawar, what Ramraj said, and like he said, it's not only you or people you know. All of us are facing very, very similar situations. The thing is, one of the things we put down, there are no easy answers or smart answers. It's not that we have one great formula which we can tell you saying, hey, Jawar, if you do this, all your COVID problems will disappear and you will have all the cash to pay everybody and yourself and the whole thing. No, we don't know. We are all battling the same thing, trying to figure out. And like Ram says, if I know many companies which are run month on month, that is, it is this month's sale, this month's collection to help pay this month's salary and this month's rent. We don't have runways. It's not that I have in my bank the money for the next 12 months or the next 2 years like some of the larger companies, or I know many, many businesses which are month on month. If this month's production hasn't happened, or this month's sale hasn't happened, this month's invoicing hasn't happened, and if this month's collection has not happened, I cannot pay this month's salary.
Yeah.
Many of us are in similar situations.
I think a
So
couple
no
of other
smart
people,
answer.
JK, and then we should stop. I think two more questions are there.
Okay.
Right?
So
Thank
that's
you,
what
sir.
I would
Thank
say.
you.
Yeah, Jawar.
Thank you, sir.
I think we have to just work it out together.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Anything else you think, Saurabh?
So we have one more participant who has raised his hand.
So we'll make that the last question. And
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Mr. Bhaskaran, you're on. You can speak.
Sir, I am Dr. Bhaskaran, Joint Director of Industries and Commerce, Government of Tamil Nadu. So we are promoting MSMEs throughout Tamil Nadu. You know, a lot of schemes are announced. Yesterday also we have discussion with Mr. Ponnayan, Vice Chairman of Planning Commission. We are going to have a lot of benefits to MSMEs. I think it will be announced within a day or two. So that was one information I want to say. So these MSMEs, we are going to review the all financial packages, as well as a lot of subsidies we are giving for a new entrepreneur that they can make use of, like UAGP, PMHP needs, and for land building and machinery, and for innovation, Government of Tamil Nadu is helping, and power subsidy, generator subsidy, patent subsidy, trademark, like that. Ample of schemes are there. I request these entrepreneurs to make use of this scheme. A lot of funds are available. So you can come to our district industry center. It is available throughout India, DICs. I'm also one of the general manager district industry center. So any entrepreneur, they can approach me also, so that I can help for startup entrepreneurs, etc. We have startup policy also through EDIA.
Mr. Bhaskaran, if you could, with Ty, if you could share your contacts,
Yeah,
I think all these people will be very happy to reach out to you.
Yes, sir. Ty is our
And if you had said, all this in the beginning, we need not have run the session at all. You had all the answers. So thank you.
It is very heartening to hear that the government is coming forward with this. We need it at this time. And like Ramraj said, if we can have this information, we can pass on to all our members and make sure that they are able to approach, for support they are looking for.
So, sir, Ty gave us a lot of training on entrepreneurship development, sir, through EDIA. So that information I want to tell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yes,
all right, Saurabh. Thank you.
We've come to an end of the session. So thank you so much. Thank you both for taking your time off and doing this again. So yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Right.
I'll be ending the chat.
Yeah.